Well, hello there, everyone. I just wanted to pop on real quick and say hi. This week we have Conor Hall, who is the director of the Office of Outdoor Recreation for the entire state of Colorado. We've recently become really good friends with him, and he's literally so amazing, and I actually had no idea he had such a crazy job. He's an extremely humble person, having been appointed by the current governor, but then also working like completely side by side with the former governor, Hickenlooper. And we just didn't know that when we met him, and he's also a model, so he truly is the state capital's mountain man and heartthrob. He wouldn't like that we said that, but it's true. So I hope you guys really like the show. And then also throughout this episode, we are drinking White Russians that we use with our sponsor, Dapper Barons. Dapper Barons are handcrafted liqueurs that are low sugar, and they don't use any artificial sweeteners or anything like that. A lot of liqueurs can have so much sugar in it where it's like if you actually knew how much sugar, you probably wouldn't be drinking it. But Dapper Barons only has 1.3 grams of sugar per serving, which I think is awesome. And they honestly taste just the same, just as delicious. So thank you, Dapper Barons, for sponsoring this episode. And I hope you guys really, really like it. All right, enjoy.
Tuki. I love that. You guys were doing what, sound check?
Sound check, yeah.
And we were talking about how everyone has like a family call and we don't.
We really don't. No.
We need to come up with one. So what yours is?
So the caller says caw, and then the responder says tuki tuki.
Tuki tuki.
And like it has saved my twin brother and I in all corners of the world.
Good.
We really need it. We found out our cousins yesterday. There's this hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean,
it's a good one.
Kind of rolls. Yeah. You need something that easy to yell, rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Breaks through the noise.
Yeah.
You know.
Tuki tuki.
What are some ideas? I mean, let's just brainstorm here.
You know, I actually knew these two guys that I worked at summer camp with, and they were stoners, so they always had to like go out deep in the woods and like smoke a bowl, you know? So at night they would do this thing where they would make like a goose, like a very realistic goose call. And they would be able
Can you give us a goose call?
I can't do it, but they were so good at it. They'd be like,
what that is.
I don't even know. That was horrible. But and I'd be like, sometimes I'd be out there with them, and then I would hear like a goose call, and I'd be like, I don't even know if that was Dallas or who. And then he was like,
I think that was real word.
Yeah, real goose there. Real goose.
Sylvan. Yeah,
it can't be too real because you could get confused by the animals.
By the animals,
well,
yeah.
Actually,
that's the danger.
At family Thanksgiving last night,
yeah.
I just randomly said, well, the only animal noise that I can make is I can do a very realistic dog growl.
Actually, why don't I'll hold your microphone. No.
You can't say that and then not do it.
I can't. Cameras are rolling.
You should have. Well, Zah's gonna
It'll
go
upset
nuts.
Zah, but
so they like didn't believe me. They were like, "All right,"
Later.
because we were talking about how I almost did it on the last time I was on Jay Leno.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that about me, but
The last time?
yeah, and
like multiple times on Jay Leno.
and I
Way to bury that
almost
lead.
producers were like, "We're gonna have Jay ask you about your dog growl," and I was like, "Oh no!" I was like texting the whole family. I was like, "I'm gonna have to." Bark like a dog on national television. And I was so upset. And I was like, that's what they like held on to.
Yeah.
And
that's quality TV right there.
Yeah,
That's what the American public wants.
Last minute they switched it to like being Italian and then being a single Italian girl in my 30s. I'm like, cute, thank you. But I was glad I didn't bark on national television. They did be like, oh, so you're single. Like, isn't that a sin in Italian culture? Like you're almost mid-30s.
It's like, wow, I didn't fucking know that.
Oh, you ever gotten roasted for being single by Jay Leno? Because bingo card, got it. So we start telling this last night, and then the whole family, like, and there's parts of the family that we haven't met yet. Because it's like this is like our fake cousins. We married into the family.
Love that you have fake cousins. Everyone should have a couple fake cousins.
No, they're like closer than like our real cousins.
Yeah.
And
cousin Amanda, who we talk about all the time on the podcast.
Constantly.
Yeah, that's the cousin we're talking about for our listeners.
And they invited us over for family Thanksgiving. So a lot of the family I hadn't met, and they're like, well, Francesca, like, you have to do it now.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. And I'm saying it's so realistic that like the dogs, one of them was shaking in a corner and they had to calm her down and like console her.
Yeah.
Because it's
who knows
the
what she
coolest
said?
thing I've ever done. No, I don't know.
Dog.
I can speak dog.
It seems offensive. I don't speak dog, but
I've done it. I've done it in a room of
inflammatory.
100 dogs before because I used to.
How are you in a room with 100 dogs?
I used to be one of my clients for social media was like a doggy daycare. So I was like, this will be interesting. They like turn around, look scared. They stand at attention and they sit down. like a room full of dogs.
Wow. You're the
crazy.
queen of the dogs.
Queen of the dogs.
Is, I think,
I don't
a new
know.
nickname.
Yeah.
Emerging
Yeah.
here.
Or like the dictator of the dogs. Like some are
Yeah.
scared and be like, oh
It
god,
actually,
oh god.
yeah, it sounds
And
more
some
dictatory
are-
than like
Yeah.
it's certainly not a democracy.
I get nervous to do it though, because most dogs like freak out and like cower, but some dogs get like very aggressive and upset. So a dog that's never bit anyone, I'm like, I like might be the first person they bite because they're like this werewolf.
Well,
No, I'm not doing
Wow,
that.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Sorry.
This
Hi,
could be a
guys.
whole episode.
okay, we have
Queen
this
of the
joke on the
dogs.
podcast where sometimes like we go on animal tangents where we just start talking about animals and then we're like,
No,
God
it's a
damn it, we
thing.
talked about animals
get
for
it.
15 fucking minutes again.
Yeah.
Should we
It's kind of refreshing.
it is kind of nice. Animal facts.
There are no rules on this podcast.
Should we
Hey, guys.
start this podcast?
Anyway,
Give it a little
Let's
intro.
dive right
Let's bring
in.
it
Let's
back.
just dive right in.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to the Saucy Sibz podcast. I'm your host, Francesca,
And I'm Nicodemus.
and we are here with our friend Conor Hall. And honestly, we'll introduce you in a second, Conor. But the biggest thing is we've already had one White Russian today.
I think
that's true.
yeah.
We're not going to let you guys know what time of the day it is. It could be 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It could be 11. You don't know. It's that time. Thanksgiving. We're all on the holidays.
Yeah.
The rules are a little looser
Yeah.
around this time.
Not as loose as like that time from like Christmas to New Year's.
Yeah, that's when no rules.
No,
Just
sweatpants.
Yeah.
Black hole.
anarchy.
Anarchy. There have been
It's
times
like an
during that-
airport anarchy.
Yeah, no.
$18 bag of chips. Drinking at 8 a.m.
I've like woken up sometimes like in that period and being like laying in my bed in the morning hungover, like I am a fat piece of shit. You know what I mean?
But like you got to keep going.
No, I know. It's like, all right, I
You're
guess
not
I'll-
going to start
well-
working out like
Oh no
December 29th.
It's like, no, I feel like gluttonous during that time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, God, this actually feels gross. But
That is the week of gluttony.
yeah,
That's
no,
when
literally
it all gets real.
feast day.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that Dapper Barons bottle and I'm like, oh, we did that.
You see
So
the top hat?
yeah,
top hat.
Love
it's so
the top hat.
classy.
Isn't it so cute?
So you guys, this episode is sponsored by Dapper Barons, and it is like a handcrafted liqueur, naturally flavored. But what's so crazy? Well, I guess like back up a little bit. If you guys didn't know yet, I'm drinking again.
Francesca's back on the sauce.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, he fell off the wagon. Well, it's so bad because like people don't know, like if it's not like people don't know if you're an alcoholic or not. And so people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, I'm beyond great. Thank you.
She's feeling amazing. This is the relapse episode. You know?
Yeah, but it's like no, because I was just sober. Like I did 30 days, and it just like went on for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point where I think people thought like I was like sober forever. And when you are sober, you're like, I'm gonna do this forever.
Yeah.
Because everything's great. It's like the best you've ever felt. But then like you have a couple drinks, and you're like, this is the best I've ever felt. And but here's the thing is I haven't had to watch what I've eaten for the past 7 months. Like you just all of a sudden lose all this weight. You don't really need to work out. I go on like a light walk every day. And I've just stayed fit. And I'm like, okay, I can't just like add in all this alcohol. I have to be like conscious about it. So what's so crazy is our manager reached out about Dapper Barons. And it's like a low sugar, but natural. Don't think all like the bullshit chemicals. It's a low sugar liqueur. Because here's the thing, I can drink. We're having a White Russian, which is like a fattening, high sugar drink.
Cheers to that.
But
you know?
yeah, cheers, guys. It's holiday season. You know, we have a friend who does the 25 days of White Russians for Christmas.
I think the last time I drank a White Russian was on our podcast during Christmas last year with our dentist.
With the dentist let you drink
We have a
this?
really cool dentist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we know everyone
Again,
in
anarchy.
Colorado, actually.
Rules just change on the
No, he
holiday
like
times.
won Temptation Island last
Yeah.
year. He's like the coolest.
I actually need a good dentist, so let's
He's
Oh,
in
yeah.
St.
that
Louis,
after.
honestly. But
Honestly, fly there for him. Come
we
to
do-
Christmas with us, Connor.
yeah.
I am
the
tempted.
family.
I'm a little. I mean, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
No, it's a time. So we were trying to think of, so they sent us in amaretto and then also a coffee liqueur. And we were going to do espresso martinis.
We didn't have a shaker.
No. We used
Francesca
a water
threw out all the
bottle.
I
bar
think
stuff.
all of us can shake, but Yeah, we didn't have the
Like the
physical
And like I was
metal
like,
shaker.
yeah.
we randomly, I made mac and cheese for Thanksgiving last night. So we had cream cream and milk. So I was like, what if we did
White Russians.
But the
Can't go
craziest
wrong.
thing
You
about
like 'em?
Dapper Barons,
Love
it's only 1.3 grams of sugar per serving. So normally a normal liqueur is 20 grams of sugar. You guys know that's
It's crazy.
5 teaspoons.
It's literally just like
That's
syrup,
why your
yeah.
margaritas are fattening. Like you think it's fine, and I never thought like triple sec or just your liqueur would have that much. But you guys, it's actually good, and it's not full of any of the bullshit. It's just sugar alcohols.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is literally very tasty. And I will say, as I have type 1 diabetes, and so I'm always struggling when I have a cocktail with, all the sugars that brings in, and, it just spikes my blood sugar. And
Yeah.
to
Well,
find
that's
something that tastes good with that amount of sugar is a game changer.
Good.
Truly.
No, really,
that's
we're like a
perfect to hear, yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Like,
We
and
didn't
I didn't
plan that either.
We really didn't plan
No,
that.
we
I didn't
really
know you,
didn't.
I didn't know you had diabetes. My sponsor will love that.
No, but oh gosh, what was I gonna say? Well, because normally, like a cocktail, that'd be like eating a donut or two.
Yeah.
Which is
I
silly.
mean, it's like not normally I can't have unless I shoot up a tremendous amount of insulin, which also isn't great.
Yeah.
And tough to calculate. Like I can't have, a White Russian or, 2 White Russians.
We're on our second White Russian, guys.
Yeah.
We're having a time.
Well, no, but that's I actually really, that's so perfect.
Well, because the owners, they were super passionate about keto. So it's
Yeah.
3 friends. They started the company and they just wanted like a lower sugar liqueur. And I didn't know that was like a concern I had in my life.
Well, I actually have seen that. It's hard for me to word, but like, if we actually knew how many sugars and calories were in a lot of the alcoholic beverages that we were consuming on the reg, multiple, like binging it, people would stop drinking. And they don't have to put like how many calories are on the back of alcohol.
If you have like 4 margaritas when you're out, it's like
crazy.
1,000 calories. And like,
Yeah.
you would never just sit down and eat 200 grams of sugar.
Isn't an IPA like 300 calories?
Oh, I don't know.
And I'll have 17. You know?
Let's go have the lab.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can just send it to them, and they'll be like, "Yeah." I don't know if it's 300 calories, but I've heard it's
Yeah, it's
something
a lot.
crazy like that. Yeah, but
Well, anyway, so thanks, Dapper Barons.
Yeah.
You are sponsoring our big holiday episode and Connor and I's birthday week.
yeah, happy birthday,
It's
guys!
all of our
And we're the
friends'
same
birthdays.
age. It's-
And the same
yeah,
age.
Yeah,
everyone
no,
is
exact same
it's
age. So
everyone's
wait, you're
birthday.
the 29th?
I'm the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the 28th. And then today is the 24th, which is our friend Esther's birthday.
Yeah. And then another close friend on the 27th. I want to say
Miley
whatever
Cyrus
Monday
is the 27th.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
sorry.
close friend. Miley Cyrus,
Sorry, no.
who we were just talking about, has this wallpaper in her bathroom.
That's
It's an ode to her at this point.
yeah, no, honestly,
No, we found out all of our friends are Aquarians and Sagittarians.
yeah,
Kind of makes sense. I feel like she's a Scorpio,
okay.
but she's a very evolved Scorpio. I feel like
Scorpios are
Dude, we
Yeah.
talked about this. We love an evolved Scorpio.
Yeah.
They're some of the best people. Unevolved, their
It can get
inner
weird
pain
and
will
dark.
just hurt
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's kind of what it is they're
Certain signs have a lot more to work on and have a bit of a dark side, and Scorpio is the extreme of that. It's the darkest sign. It's the most secretive sign. It's the most intense sign. You know,
I actually thought I was a Scorpio as a young child. When I did my astrology research, I just saw November, and then I guess I stopped reading. So I was like, oh, well, shit, I'm a Scorpio. And it never quite felt right. I was like, it's just,
yeah.
And then I don't know, 15, 16, I actually went back
Yeah.
and checked, and I was like, oh, I'm very clearly a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Very
I was like,
clear.
very
Very-
Happy-go-lucky,
like the
loves
most
to travel.
Sagittarius. Like I am a textbook.
ruled
Yeah.
by the truth.
Just just
well, and
textbook.
it's Sagittarians. What's so cool is we're actually the sign of philosophy, which
makes sense.
Yeah, well, but people think we're so silly and carefree that people wouldn't think that, but all Sagittarians have this side because half man, half centaur. It's kind of the clown side, the silly side, but then the very serious what does life mean side.
So again, you should meet my twin brother because he is he's the silliest person, but also he is I said I was a textbook Sagittarius. He is somehow even more textbook Sagittarius, the ultimate hilarious guy, and then deepest philosopher I've ever met.
That's so interesting. Okay, so a twin born on the same day. So if they, how many minutes are you guys apart?
14.
So would their charts be different?
Yeah, we had them right in there. There's enough difference there. Where,
With 14 minutes, that's kind of a long
14
time.
minutes?
Yeah.
If
I don't know
if
about
the
maybe
sun-
not in the traditional.
If the rising sign can change every like 2.5 hours, pretty much, then yeah, because it's like the tilt of the Earth. It's like the rising is like where the horizon, the sun is rising when you were born, and so like that's 24 hours. You have 12 signs, you know. So yeah, I guess it could be like in there. So it's probably a different rising sign. But it's
Yeah, I'm not
probably
an
only gonna be
expert,
that.
but we had some expert do it, and they were like, "Yeah, there's enough differences here where it's significant."
14 minutes. I mean,
Wow.
that's still pretty big for twins,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like 3 minutes or 4.
Yeah,
You know, I've met twins who were born on different days.
Yeah.
Because like right at midnight.
my aunt, who was just over for Thanksgiving yesterday, she's a twin, and they were one day off from being born in different years. They were born at different days, but it was January 2nd and 3rd, but they were one day off from being born in full.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So twins run in the family.
They run in the family. Yeah.
Cool.
How's Harper feel about that? Harper is
She'd love
Connor's
me.
beautiful wife.
We would love to have twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then it's like done.
Well, and like, yes. And I don't know, being a twin is just the greatest. Like, you have the built-in best friend.
Yeah.
And Patrick and I, my twin, you know, he lives in Germany now, so we're quite a ways away. But, you know, we went through life together. He's still like, you know, my closest friend in the world. There's just like such a deep understanding, and, you know, and we shared a room too for, you know, 18 years. And
No way.
you know, just like
18.
there's a closeness. Yeah. Because you know, every night before we went to bed, we would talk about the day. We'd like share, you know, it's just like, there's like a depth of understanding and relationship that is incredible. And that's why I love seeing like the Saucy Sibz.
Saucy
Like, I see in you
Sibz.
guys like what I feel with my twin.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, just like the love and understanding and appreciate, and like willingness to be super silly and like, you know, and then also like show up for each other. And yeah, it's just, I think
we've
that's
had
one of the
that.
most powerful relationships you can have.
It's crazy.
I've showed up to court for her.
You have. No,
I believe that.
And we've been through some shit. We really, really have. And like, we don't fight often because we are just so similar and know how to deal with each other so well. But like, we had one fight where
We had World War III, and then you moved cities.
Yeah.
And then, it was just like, I mean, it was
like our friends had to choose.
it was like shots
He
heard
was
around,
the
That
enemy.
is, wow. Really?
you know, the shot heard around the
Like an
world.
extended fight.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah.
It went 3 months.
3 months, yeah. You know, here we are.
No, it's crazy.
We're back in the closet.
And you know what's funny is it's still like we don't talk about
We
it.
don't
People
talk
would be
about
like,
it.
"What was it about?" And we're like,
It's just like it's
we
water,
don't revisit.
water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I
But
get that.
it's funny you say that because everybody thinks that we're twins.
Yeah, I actually have you guys in my phone as twins.
The twins.
Like,
yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, I should probably fix that. But
That's so weird to me to think about. Like, I know that we're close, but like thinking of you as my twin, I can't. Like it seems so wrong.
Well, like we're so far apart.
Yeah.
Is
That's
what's
what
so
I mean.
funny.
And then we
yeah.
have like very different upbringings.
We did not grow up together.
No. We weren't even friends until like 2018.
So my family didn't. No, really, my family
it's
didn't
weird.
have
It's crazy.
money when I was younger because my parents got cut off, and then I mean, pretty much. So like, I grew up like my dad putting my mom through college and like in tiny apartments and stuff. And like Nick grew up and our family had money,
and
so
an in-ground
very
pool.
different. Yeah,
like
that is how you tell.
Yeah,
it's
like-
the in-ground play. Yeah, the above ground, you're
that's all you need to know.
healthily middle class. But
Yeah. And so it was just like, and I tell people because we're 5 years apart, 6th grades. He was 11 when I went to college.
Yeah.
So a full
that
like
is-
prepubescent child when I'm full college.
yeah,
It was
that is
just
a
very
big
different.
difference. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I love that. Look at that. I almost would love to brand like if you see two siblings that are really close, I would in a perfect world, I'd be like, oh, they're like two siblings, they party together, like that's some Saucy Sibz shit. You know? Because like they exist, but it is kind of rare.
It is rare.
Austin and Allie Carlisle.
Yeah.
Two of our
Do
friends.
You know,
Austin.
they're
Sounds kind
always
of vaguely
a
familiar,
so
but-
Probably
one of
recognize
the
them.
Yeah,
ways
sure,
that we actually know you from Civico, but the venue we manage, Invisible City, also just like a collective of really cool people in Denver.
Yep.
So it's like, but they're siblings and they're
closer than we are.
No, yeah, for
and
sure.
It's kind of
they
crazy.
take the cake, and I'm like, I don't. Also, Nick and I like don't touch.
I'm not.
Like,
we're just
not
not very
huggy. We're not like whatever. Like he's like,
Yeah.
we're buddies, but we also have very different friend groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that's a good thing, I think. Like,
Yeah, like my best friend. You're just
her,
yeah, which is crazy because she's like my sister.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But my best friend, you don't really know too much. Do you and your brother obviously have different like friend groups?
Yeah, but
no, but when you're twins,
we went to
like,
such small
age.
schools too. So I grew up in Crestone, Colorado, which
Crestone,
is like the weirdest
fucking
small
weirdo.
town.
Wait, why?
You know, you explain Crestone.
Do you know Crestone?
I do.
You do.
No, I have no idea.
Oh man. So about 3.5 hours from here, southern central Colorado. Town itself is about 90 people, maybe a couple thousand in the area. And at the end of this dead end road, under some of the tallest mountains in the state. And historically, it was this really powerful spiritual center for the Ute tribe. They would send their young men there in shaman training to do their like the final, most intense piece of the training. And they were actually like, it's actually too sacred to live here. But of course, like, European settlers came and like this feels like a great place to live.
In-ground pool.
And yeah. Full in-ground pool. And so it's just this very unique place, but it was a gold mining town during the gold rush.
Oh.
And I think maybe some silver. And then basically it turned into a ghost town. And then was revived, I think in the late 70s, I want to say. There was this like pretty fraudulent investment company that bought a bunch of land. It's the Baca Ranch. So it's one of the biggest land holdings in Colorado.
Okay.
Like, we're going to develop this. And so they paved the roads, like a 1/4 inch thick, and built a golf course, and they would just fly the investors over. They would never like land. And from the air, it looked great. And so they sold all these shares, and some of the people that bought shares were Hannah and Marie Strong, who've become really good family friends of my family's. And Marie Strong was like the number 2 at the UN at that point. He was the driving force behind the Rio conference, the first major like climate and environmental conference. So Hannah, his wife, who's just this powerhouse of a woman, went there and actually like got on the ground. She went into what was the little town. It was like a couple trailers, really. This guy came out of this trailer and was like, "Hey, like, are you Hannah Strong?" And she was really taken aback. She's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've been waiting for you." And so they sit down for a couple hours, and he's this Ute elder, and he just told her all kinds of things that like he had no business knowing, and her whole world was rocked. And he was like, "You're here to bring Crestone back to what it's supposed to be, which is a gathering place of all the different religious traditions."
Yeah.
And so Hannah and Marie Strong went and bought everyone else out, and then they offered up to any world religion that had an interest. They were like, "We'll give you the land here in Crestone for free if you come and build a center." And so there are 14 different major world religious centers there in Crestone now. Yeah. It's this tiny town at the end of this road. You can't drive through it.
Yeah.
And Buddhist and Hindu and Baptist and Catholic, and I mean, on and on and on. They all coexist in this beautiful way. And it's just this wild place. So we were raised Catholic, but my parents would bring us to every different world religious
you were Catholic
ceremony. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was just this incredible global view. And like 3 of our best friends from middle school are all Buddhist. Yeah. One has he was just over for Thanksgiving as a well-known Buddhist teacher. And so for growing up in like the most rural Colorado, I mean, the closest theater, grocery store, whatever, hospital was an hour away. So it was wildly rural, but it was this wildly global experience growing up.
So why were your parents there?
We had some family friends who had moved there. My parents have always, my dad's a lawyer with a real conservation focus, which has inspired me to do a lot of the work that I've done. That makes sense. My mom's a nurse, but they also are very like open-minded seekers, really. Yeah. And so they've traveled the world, and they're kind of seeking their own spiritual paths, and so I think Crestone appealed to them in that way.
It's also like big in cults.
Yeah, big in cults.
It's like all the big Colorado cults.
Probably the most cults per capita anywhere.
Yeah.
Wait, that's wild.
Yeah. So I hear it's just like I've never been. We should go. We should fucking go. Because
let me know when you go.
100%.
I'll either go with you or I'll give you a long list of recommendations.
Yeah. Because I was following Love Has Won for a long time.
Did you see that HBO?
No.
So there's a big documentary that just came out, 2 episodes in. Love Has Won, just wild.
She just died.
Really fucked up. And she was mummified, and like
they mummified her in Hawaii, but she like, I don't know. Basically, she was like this like trashy woman that like was a manager of a McDonald's, and then just woke up one day and said, "Hey, I'm the next coming of God, or the next woman of God, son of God,
like
or whatever."
Jesus, like the next savior.
Yeah. The reincarnation of Jesus.
But she was a drunk,
bold,
and she's
wild alcoholic, like,
and real nasty. Real like there's videos because they would live stream everything and sell like colloidal silver and like all these different products to make money. And so there's like a lot of footage online where she's just like drunk as fuck in bed, like yelling at these like men to come bring me another vodka, because in cults it's you know all about. I'm glad you know about this. And then they moved to Hawaii, and then she assumed that she was Pele, which is the goddess, the Hawaiian goddess of fire. Which is still
so like the definition of appropriation.
No, literally yes. And so, but like this isn't just like indigenous
problematic
people. Awesome. Like it's not like she said she was Zeus. Like this is a living goddess to the Hawaiian people. And this white woman, this trashy white alcoholic woman, moved to Hawaii and then decided that she was Pele. The Hawaiians forced her out. They said this is fucked up.
Truly forced her out.
Yeah, truly forced her out.
Good for them.
Very violent. No, 1,000,000%. Like I'm really happy that
taken advantage of enough.
Yeah, no, exactly. No kidding. So, and the Hawaiians are really doing a lot of cool shit with kind of like taking back what's theirs. And there's like a lot of really good organization happening. But basically, she got back to California from Hawaii, and then she died.
Yep.
And so then they mummified her. Yep. And then brought her.
Is that legal?
No. And then
I was like, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, the spoiler, not legal. Legal calamity ensued.
Well, the cult, it's there. So I actually know a lot about this.
Are cults like 501c? Like, are they tax exempt?
Well, no. Many have filed as 501c3s. Yeah. This one, I don't think they had the foresight to file that way.
Because they were kind of just like hippie.
Because your Burning Man camp is 501c.
Yeah.
Because you're like giving to the people.
Burning Man camp knows what the fuck you're doing.
501c3s are,
but they got all charged with
mishandling
a corpse.
Yeah. Because they wrapped her in, like, they mummified her and then wrapped her in fucking Christmas lights and drove her across many state lines.
Francesca, this is a living goddess.
Yeah, you're going to be
made in China Christmas
down.
Yeah.
Actually, when the cops like pulled over the people that were handling the body and like literally driving her, they were like, so like, what's going on? And they go, I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know what process she's in. It's a mummified corpse.
Yeah.
Like it's a corpse. And they're just like, yeah.
So they had a dead body in their trunk and they just
like, no,
nervous.
she's just like sleeping, but like transcending. And they're like,
well, she's fucking blue because she was taking so much colloidal silver.
Yeah, that's
I think that
she was like, that was the cure all.
Yeah.
And her skin is actually blue.
Yeah. No, people get obsessed with it. So I take colloidal silver when I have a cold.
Yeah, a little bit, which is super good.
Which is great. If
you can take a little bit.
If she was doing like 4 drinks a day of colloidal silver, and like I'm not a doctor, let me state that clearly, but
not a doctor.
She was like way overdoing it on the colloidal silver.
It's crazy. Because people get like obsessed with it. That's not even like a cult thing. That's like a thing online.
No,
people think it cures everything.
And actually, there's a lot to that. Sorry, I stole your.
That's okay.
I did steal your.
We're basically family
Coast Guard.
now.
I know. Yeah, you're my fake cousin.
No, you stole my whole drink. That is my drink.
Oh my god, that is your drink.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my bad.
It's all right.
Oopsies. Okay. What was I going to say?
It's a real bonding moment.
The ancient Taoists used to ingest silver because like ancient Taoist priests like back in the like 900s got really obsessed with immortality, and then they felt that ingesting different elements could make them become like elemental. So they would like ingest like liquid silver somehow, and which was like an ancient form of alchemy and stuff. So people do get obsessed with like silver and gold and colloidal this and that, but it's like a very long history.
I love that immortality has become like a motif.
We talk
this
about
podcast.
immortality, you know what I mean?
Well, Nick, I know we're like 40 minutes into the podcast. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Oh, yeah.
We'll do that at the beginning. We'll like do like a little like, hey, this is who we're having on, blah, blah, blah. Like as a little interlude. But for the people.
All right. We have Conor Hall, everyone. Conor Hall is the
Director of the Office of Outdoor Recreation Industry.
Yeah, no one ever gets that right the first time.
I wrote it too.
I was going to say, okay, so you are the mountain man of the Capitol.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the actual
The most
Capitol.
fun job in government.
Cool.
Period.
No, that's
You're
amazing.
also like,
Well, okay, actually, the other day, before I did like my actual, I knew you worked in like.
He's so nervous.
No, you go ahead.
No, the other day, but before like I like actually did my research on you, I just thought that like you worked in like government and politics for like funding for outdoor recreation industry, right? And so the other day I asked you, I said, "Oh, do you know the governor?" And you just go very politely, you go, "Yeah, I do. I work with him."
yep, I'm in all his meetings.
And then I found out that you know this governor very well and the governor before him very, very well. Yeah, and that you are like a senior advisor on like committee board.
For the previous governor, yeah, I was kind of his general senior advisor. Really, the two of us just did everything together.
Yeah.
I always, instead of senior advisor, I would always say I was just his wrangler. You know, and it was fun to wrangle him. He is a wild extrovert. He's like the ultimate politician you want to have a drink with.
Cool.
Brilliant mind. And this governor too, I think one of the smartest people I've ever worked with, like two very different styles, certainly, but
And you were appointed by the current one.
yeah, appointed by the current, worked very closely with the former, but we've been really lucky in Colorado to have two, I think, of the best governor. Again, very different styles, but very effective governors.
That's really good to hear. And the current governor is the first openly gay governor to ever exist, or to ever be public with that knowledge. Yeah. Which I think is so cool, and I really look up to that. I just find that fascinating.
Well, it's
Well, you know, Nick the other day was like, hey, Connor, you think we could like the governor on our podcast? And he said, absolutely no chance.
No, you were so nice about it.
Yeah.
You were so nice about it. You were so nice about it. I was like,
I wasn't there. But the gist of what you told
like,
me
Nick,
is he
I love
goes,
you, but-
absolutely fucking not.
okay, so I want the fucking governor on our goddamn podcast, okay? But
Not
you just,
because he's the governor, but just because like you're
No.
so big into like LGBT rights
Yeah.
and like everything, and you're like, maybe he would come on. He goes, absolutely not.
he got you, but you were also saying just his personality. He's pretty.
he's a little more reserved.
He's not going to drink White Russians with two influencers talking about.
I don't think he drinks at all.
Less cool.
So there we go.
No, anyone. I will say I think that like not drinking like can catapult you. Like, oh, he's the governor. Makes sense. He doesn't drink.
Yeah.
A lot of like most celebrities like don't.
Yeah, there's something to that.
No, there is. And I always think because now I'm starting to drink again. I'm like, what? Like a little bit
what
here
have I
and there.
lost?
Yeah, and it's like I think there's a balance there. You can drink a little bit, and that's like I feel like a lot of our friends are very successful and doing very cool things, and they drink like a little bit. But there is that line where you're like, could I be more productive if I like didn't? Of course.
I know.
Well, and he was like a businessman since he was like 14, 15. I mean, he is brilliant. Like he was on the very cutting edge of the internet and the .com, but they sold a company, him and his parents, for hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it was a flowers company, like right before the bust, and like I mean, he just has a brain for that type of work, and he would actually be a very interesting guest, but. It's tough to.
It's a pipe dream.
Pipe dream. I feel like it sounds like I have the better chance of getting
now I
Miley
have a
Cyrus on.
challenge.
I mean, I'll just write him a letter. Hey, I know Conor Hall.
No, if we became friends with Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Oh, because he loves Taylor Swift.
He
Yeah.
does love Taylor
That little
Swift.
gay
Yeah,
boy.
maybe that's your it.
If we had Taylor Swift on the podcast, he would come on as
That's true.
If I got Taylor Swift on my
idea.
podcast,
Solid idea.
it's a great idea. I would call two people. I would call Paul Laurie, and then I
Yeah.
would call fucking Jared Polis.
Why Paul Laurie with Taylor?
Well, just because I'd be like, if I'm hosting the biggest celebrity in the world right now, I'm gonna call Paul Laurie.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
in
He'll
general.
just
Like,
handle the details.
Like it's just like
Always good to call Paul.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just gonna call Paul.
Yeah.
And
Which is how we know each other, actually.
Yeah. No.
No, we know you
No, we know you
from-
through Ryan Heckman.
but
It
who
was
we know through Paul.
first. Yeah.
Who we know through Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, on Jamie Duffy. Jamie Duffy was
yeah.
on, who's a big activist, and
Could be the next female
she
president.
could be, honestly. But she's
Might
just like
be.
huge. Might be, yeah. She's just like a really huge player in Denver and everything that's going on. But she was on a panel about like nightlife and all these things about Denver, and she made a joke at the end of the panel. She goes, "If you want to get to know people and know people in Denver, just meet Paul Laurie." And it was like,
Were you there for that
Not even a
panel?
joke. No, but and Jamie's one of my closest friends.
yeah.
Yeah, and she was
Absolutely
like,
true.
everyone
Absolutely
there
true.
was like, how do you like get to know and get in? And they were like, I don't know, like be friends with Paul Laurie. It was like for other
He's
people
the
to be like, I'm
patron
sorry,
saint
what?
of nightlife and the creatives. And stuff.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Nightmare?
No.
So, okay, I've just been reading articles about this. I didn't know if this has like been
I
discussed.
thought you made this up.
No. So, nightmare, as in mare.
Oh, nightmare. I thought you
Nightmare.
were saying nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare. Well, that's the play on
Play on
words.
words.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Gotcha.
night mayor.
Yes, I have. Very much so.
Is that okay? So the night
think it's gonna
mayor.
happen.
Okay, could you speak on this?
Yeah, but this is just Conor Hall conjecture right here. But
Okay.
I think so. We have a new mayor, Mike Johnston. I think he sees the value in that, and I mean, most major American cities that have the type of music scene and art scenes and creative element to their city have a nightmare. I mean, there's you look at the top 20, 25 biggest cities, and at least half, maybe more than half, have someone who fills a similar role to that. And so I think it's something we need. I also think it's something, to revive downtown. Obviously, after the pandemic, we've really struggled in that area. And we have amazing institutions. We have amazing music. Like, the pieces are there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you need someone, like, within the, wild bureaucracy that is government, like, leading that charge and understanding that. And, like, I think that would go a long, long way. And so I think we will get there. I don't know the time frame around it, and like I haven't talked with Mike about this, but my sense is that like we will have a nightmare sometime in the next 4 years.
Does someone have that? Or
There's some favorites for the job.
I'm saying, does any city actually have something called the Night Mayor?
Oh yeah, many of them do.
Oh,
Yeah,
I never knew that.
many major cities. New
Paul would
Orleans
be
definitely
it.
does. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking it would be Jamie Duffy.
But there's
or
a
Paul.
couple names on the list.
Paul's the after hours mayor.
Yeah, Paul is
Yeah.
like a little later.
Yeah. But like, I think that's really interesting though, because one thing for our listeners, like one thing, I listened to a podcast with Jamie Duffy, and she was talking about the importance of third spaces. So not necessarily third spaces are like not your home, not your job, but like a church or
Well, so
a coffee
like
shop.
anywhere else you hang out besides work or home.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it was churches.
Yeah.
And that's not like a place people hang out at
Just
anymore.
changed.
It's
Yeah.
changed. And so she was saying that like she works for a nonprofit called Youth on Record, where she like helps kids pretty much like have that third space for like creative whatever, And so she was like, I think that a lot of third spaces need like governmental and philanthropic support just to kind of have these spaces kind of be like more well taken care of, because right now,
well, you don't make money doing that, and so
Exactly.
like you do rely on philanthropy or government grants.
Well, right now, like Invisible City, like operates not with any of that, but it's like we want co-working, we want collaboration, we want like a cool place to meet friends.
Yeah.
But
And like
so-
a community center, the old school community center, but not for kids. It's not like kids like daytime pool birthday parties, but for people to have a community center to go to, and Invisible City has been that.
Yeah, but still, Invisible City really runs on like alcohol sales are a big part of like that funding. And so most bars, it's only alcohol sales. You can't really have a music venue without alcohol sales.
And Jamie Duffy's sober.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, and not to say that's a thing, but it's like, you want people to just be able to hang out. These venues, you can't make us push.
Yeah.
To sell alcohol to everyone to like let us survive.
And that's effectively like what the nightmare would do is like try to like, right?
Yeah, I think coordinating that, bringing more funding to that space. I mean, a lot of the money exists. Like at a state level too, we have the Colorado Creative Industries Office, which is a sister division of the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office. So we work together all the time. And that is their whole mission to like, how do we lift up, how do we fund, the creative industries? Because we all know either intrinsically, and I mean, now there's data there to back that up, but intrinsically, like what that means for all of us, art, music, film, all those things that, are so meaningful to us as humans. And the more we can interject that into communities or pull that out or support that in communities, the stronger those communities are. And every community has that. But sometimes like you do need the funding to make that happen, or, some support from, an entity to make that happen.
Yeah. And that you were just saying like, that's pretty much like with like your job, that's what you do with like all the outdoor stuff and everything.
Yeah. So anything, I mean, we kind of serve as that like central steward for the outdoor industry, which, is depending on how you measure it, the biggest industry in the state, source of 18% of our jobs, about 500,000 jobs. And it's, true here in Denver as it is in Craig, Colorado, or La Junta or Durango. It's a major driver, and it's something, this maybe one of the most important things about it is that it's something that just about everyone does. 92% of Coloradans participate in outdoor recreation in some form or fashion every year.
So wild.
And it's tough to, like, you don't see that anymore.
Did you say 92%?
92, yeah. And that transcends rural and urban and red and blue and, and any of these boundaries that feel sometimes so insurmountable in our daily lives. And so I do really think that it's like one of the last true unifiers that we have in the public arena. And there's a lot of power in that.
That's really interesting because we were kind of talking about like when we wanted to talk to you about what this episode was going to be about. I was like, yeah, we could talk about politics. And we were sort of speaking about how Colorado is very red. It's also very blue.
Yep.
Denver's very blue. But really like the unifier is like the outdoor community. And then there's that overlap of like people that want to be environmentalists, but also like hunting and all these things. It's a very big gun state, you know, and just all these things that it's like, it is the last unifier of like such a great state.
Yeah.
And it is the big industry of the state too.
Well, and that's the thing. I think the more we can like find those commonalities and like, maybe the form of recreation is different. Maybe you're a hunter, maybe I'm a, snowboarder or whatever. It all depends on like having an outdoors to recreate in. And like, that's what brings us together. Like that recognition of that, the willingness to step up and protect that. And, ultimately like the understanding that everyone should have that, access to the outdoors should be a right and not a privilege. You still have 100 million people in this country that don't have that access.
We went to a Civico thing that you spoke on the panel about, like outdoors, like equity.
That's how we met.
That's I think that's the first time we met.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No,
but
that was our first Civico.
Oh, really?
First Civico. And even though we know Ryan and Civico through Paul, but that was how we met. So I'd still credit Ryan on that.
You guys shared like such insane statistics about how like access to the outdoors does someone even seeing green from their classroom and how many people like don't have access to the outdoors. And so that was like just a big thing. Like share on that.
So I mean the reality is this. I mean, we have over 100 million people in this country that don't have fair, easy, safe access to any green
Like a
space,
park.
anything, like even a pocket park. And, that's nearly a third of the country. It's 30 to 40 million kids.
Wow.
And, I think...
I didn't mean to hit you.
Oh,
Sorry.
you were like- I was
I'm
like,
sorry.
what?
And I think we all know, especially in Colorado, we've been privileged. We know what the outdoors does for us from a mental, physical, I always say spiritual health standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are studies now that actually back that up. And it's just unconscionable actually that like we have so many people that don't have that access. And so that's one of the biggest things we work on. And we also know that kids these days are spending about between 4 and 7 minutes outside each day on average.
Wait, what?
Between 4 and 7 minutes, which is
No.
that is
I refuse to believe it.
Yeah.
Is that
And
like a-
versus 7.5 hours or more on screen in front of screens, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like just take that in for a second. And
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
that's
have a lot
that's
of,
the research that's been done.
Have you heard? Sorry, am I interrupting you?
No, I was just gonna say we don't have a lot of family who has young kids.
Yeah.
It's our fake cousins,
Our fake cousins. Yeah.
and their children were wonderful last night.
Shout out to that family.
No.
They just did so.
No
they're-
screens.
No screens during family time.
Love.
Interacting. You know what's funny?
Can I join this family?
No,
No.
and you know
Actually,
what he
our
said?
families.
We said to him, we were like, "Oh my god, they don't have screens." He goes, "Don't like misinterpret. They get a lot of screen time."
He was like, well, we'll put on screens in the morning, like cartoons, don't whatever. But in front of family, so we're a new family, and
None.
it was family Thanksgiving. It would have been a lot easier. Put them in front
just
of a
put 'em in
screen.
front, yeah.
You know what they
Very
did
evident.
during Thanksgiving dinner? They took all the dog toys. They created like a Goonies type situation. Underneath, like we had the big like 20-person Thanksgiving table. It was like the underground tunnels for them.
I love that.
They were having a
I'm into
time.
that.
I know they were having a
And,
great
and
time.
like,
Wow.
yes,
Rambunctious, fun kids.
a nuisance. They were like tickling me under the table, like,
Yeah.
Like-
That's what you want.
That's how
from the
kids
like
should
not on a
be.
screen. Like
Yeah.
engage it,
like, of
even
course,
in
like
an annoying
interrupt
way.
me.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. Like, give me some childlike interaction. Like I got in like a tickle war with Ryder,
Yeah.
the oldest boy. He's like 8 or 6 or 8.
6.
And we were having like a thing, and finally I had to say, like, when I have my wine glass in my hand, you're not allowed to tickle me. This is like the sacred, like
Basic
Indiana
rules of a
Jones.
tickle war.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indiana Jones wine glass. Like this wine glass is like worth more than your life. You can't let me drop it. And he's like, okay. So if I set it down, then he could like tickle me. And we had like the best time. And I was like, that is how.
Because I'm not here to like vilify screens.
No.
Or screen
No,
time
it's
at
part of
all.
our modern life.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's-
Like
and,
this-
we're never going to put like that's a Pandora's box situation. We're never going to like, completely switch that up. But like we're seeking balance. We're
Yeah.
seeking
Exactly.
some balance.
Exactly.
And like, I mean, I spend a ton of time on screens every day, more than I'd like. But
It's our
it,
profession.
there is something
I
about
live
like,
on the internet.
making, yeah,
Yeah.
like the benefits of being outdoors, even if it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a great app called Nature Dose that like tracks, anytime you step outside, it's tracking it, which may feel a little big brothery, but again, I mean, our location is no longer a secret.
No, it's we've lost that battle.
Yeah, we have lost that battle. And it's just been a really interesting thing of like, how much time do I actually spend outside? And like, again, I'm the head of outdoor recreation for the state of Colorado. It's alarming many days, like how little time I spend outside for something that, we are working for, fighting for every day. And we all need that. We all need that in our lives.
And you are an avid outdoorsman, though.
Yeah.
You do get a lot of time out.
that,
but like,
that
just
is
like
my
the-
best. That's my most sacred place.
I agree. And for me too, like when I look back at like some of the most times I've ever felt like alive, living, feeling like, just like take that in. It's outdoors. It's
outdoors,
always been
yeah.
outdoors. And I love a lot of things in the world. I love being on the computer. I love living for social media, but like outdoors is the realest thing you can experience.
Well, it's funny. I had like a breakdown when I was living in New York City. And my parents, I miss my dogs. So mom and dad drove our dogs from St. Louis to Denver. They flew me from New York City to Denver. and we just did like a mountain weekend. And I even just like breathing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like I hadn't, and that's when I realized like I still think New York City is the greatest city in the world. Not everyone has this view. To me, it is the center of the universe. It's my favorite place to be in the world. There's no green.
Yeah.
Like it's just like barren in that way. Like you can go on the water, you can go to Central Park, sure, but it just doesn't exist like it does here. And I don't think I'll live full time anywhere away from like what we're like living in now.
Yeah. And I think it's just like so cool to live in Colorado and just have access to this. But it's funny because I'm in Denver now, and for the past 3 years we were living up in Summit County. So for those of you listening, that's like Vail, Breckenridge, or not Vail, but like Breckenridge, Frisco, Dillon, Silverthorne, where we would just like accidentally, like we'd get out of a restaurant and then after eating, and then you just go walk down the street, and then before you know it, you're on a trail. You just accidentally hike all the time. Yeah. Though I'm in Denver and there's still amazing hikes within 20 minutes of us, it's like we're not really taking that like intention to go do that. Yeah. Which sucks. But then like also there's people in the world that don't even have access to that. Yeah. When I used to work for a rustic outdoor youth camp, we worked with like kids from the inner city of St. Louis and like brought them outside. And sometimes it was the first time that they'd ever been in nature before. And that was like a real kind of like hard moment for me, because I was like, they've never done that before. And like, how does that shape your worldview? And so much to the point where we were on a hike and there was a deer, and these kids were like, where does that deer live? They didn't understand the concept of wild. And to me, that was like, whoa.
Oh, like it lives anywhere.
No. Like, where is that deer live? Who owns it? They asked me, where's its cage?
Oh.
Yeah. And like, I mean, like literally, like you said, spiritually, I mean, that's almost like we could even like expand that further. It's like they don't even understand the idea of like a soul that is free and uncaged. Yeah.
Oh, that's
what does that mean for like the human spirit of that kid, And it's good that like, I'm not saying that like all the world's problems could be solved by taking people on a hike, but I do think that it's just like really crazy to think about just how it shapes your worldview, like you said, like spiritual earlier in the podcast.
I disagree with that though. I think a lot of the world's problems could be solved with
if they just touch grass.
No, I'm saying no.
But like
people going on a hike and then people traveling.
Yeah.
Traveling like ends bigotry.
True. Yeah.
Like hard stop. You go to a few other countries, you're the person who doesn't speak English or doesn't speak the native language or doesn't know what's going on, and it's hard for you. It ends bigotry. It ends like not understanding. Like
so traveled a lot, and what we would do is just bring a soccer ball everywhere. We were big soccer players growing up, and in every place we ever went, it's like that was like the universal language. So like one time we were in like the mountainous jungles of northern Thailand, and the Long Neck village. We'd like like 6 hours, and we'd gone through and brought a soccer ball, and one of the guys ran up and was like, I mean, we didn't speak the same language, but he gestured us over, and we like went into the back of the village, and all the guys were there playing like soccer volleyball, and we just jumped in and had this immediate connection, and we played for 3 hours and then dinner, and like it was just I mean, you guys have traveled a ton. It was like a just beautiful, deep connection, even though we didn't speak, not even like, maybe there was 5 words that we shared.
Yeah.
But, it's like that, seeing the humanity and, a lot of gestures to communicate.
Just a couple kids playing ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just a couple kids playing ball.
My big thing about traveling sometimes is I become very like animated, because you have to, because you're speaking like, even if you were speaking some of the same language, like I lived in Barcelona. Yeah. And so I spoke enough Spanish. They like knew a little bit of English. Yeah. But just being very animated and saying it, like I feel like it gets you more into life.
Yeah. They say that that's why Italians talk with their hands. Have you heard of this? Mm-mm. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, during like Roman Empire, they spoke Latin, but then once it fell, people of the Italian peninsula didn't want to speak like Latin anymore because they felt like it was elitist, and that's why Dante wrote Dante's Inferno in Italian, and so you had all these different people like speaking different like sub languages of Latin, and that's why they had to like use their hands to kind of be like, I'm not going to say it like that, but I'm going to say it like this. So the gestures with the hands is like a very Italian thing because of
like the Italian thing is like the joke in our family is if you tied our hands around our back, we couldn't speak.
Yeah.
We'd be mute because like everything comes out with our hands. But I was gonna say like you are basically the Colorado outdoors man, the Colorado heartthrob. And
that's a stretch.
No,
you're the heartthrob of the capital.
No, I was gonna like fake out on this podcast. I'd be like, Connor, you thought you were coming on here to talk about your government job, but we're talking about your modeling career.
That is a limited career right there.
No. Okay, so we met Connor at that party that we told you guys, or not a party, that like networking event where you were speaking, and we're like, oh my God, he was so cool. Love him. And then we went to the mall in Cherry Creek, and then all of a sudden they were like just photos of you, like modeling photos.
I'm talking
all
like
over
10 feet photos of you like laughing with your girlies.
Look at
like outside. No, I asked your wife, and I was like, so Connor's like modeling like a career. And she's like, oh, I know. He has a new career. He's out here. He's.
What did you say? Accidental model?
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I am the ultimate accidental model. Basically,
that's hilarious to me, dude.
Friend was like, "Hey, can you come help with this shoot?"
Was that Esther?
Yes.
Okay.
Just make sure. Esther Lee Leach. Let's just name her.
So, like, honestly, Esther, whose birthday's today?
She is an actual model.
I told Nick how old she was today. It's Esther's 43rd birthday.
She looks younger than I do.
No, she put it on her Instagram. No, she's a goddamn supermodel.
She is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
actually,
I didn't know she was 43.
Like
I thought she was
like
31.
New York City. Like you meet her and the way she dresses, you're like.
Did you just say a mom?
No, like
the David Bowie's first wife or second wife? Amon.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Sorry.
I thought you said a mom, and I was like, I know she is a mom, but she doesn't look like a mom.
No, like the supermodel.
The most glamorous. We're going out tonight to celebrate her birthday.
Tonight?
Oh yeah.
Are we just keeping you?
No. We're gonna be in touch.
It's
I'll text you guys.
Early. It feels late because it's dark outside.
Yeah, and then we're in a closet. But yeah.
Drinking White Russians in the closet. Not a ton of natural light here.
Yeah.
But the wallpaper is on point.
But no, I think
So I was like, I'll come down and do this thing, and turns out it was for the Cherry Creek Mall. And like, it shouldn't surprise you. I'm not a big mall guy. I'm not a great
you're
shopper,
outdoorsy.
actually. Like, like, and so we do the shoot, and like, I literally was thinking I was going to be just on like a pamphlet that no one ever saw, and then like it was like. Face blown up, 30 feet tall, parking validation, every like, and I was getting like
Connor.
3 texts a day for about 7-8 months.
We met Connor, and then we were like, oh, like Connor, like cool friend, blah, blah, blah. We walk into Cherry Creek Mall, 30-foot photo of Connor. And we're like,
unnerving is the word I would use.
Unnerving. I think it's so fucking cool. It's so iconic.
Because there's models who aren't like traditionally like beautiful, but like commercial models, that's just like no, it's normal everyday like so beauty. Funny. It's like it's just like the ideal of what people want to be. It's you have that, Connor. Said that. I don't. No, that's what commercial model is. It's what people want to be.
So yeah, that is my. And then actually because of that, then like now. Solely because of Esther and her brilliance, I'm getting these other offers.
Wait, so you have a full-on modeling career?
I wouldn't say full-on. I would say like a very wildly part-time.
But that's what commercial modeling is. It's like normal people who are just like better looking than other people. No, it is. And it's like, because real, like, let's say quotes.
Well, you were an actual model. So I feel like these are false
when I was
equivalencies.
16 and
but you were an actual model. I'm not an actual model.
No,
you are an actual model.
Yeah, no, because that's commercial modeling. It's just different.
Bit of a stretch.
People sometimes talk like I'll say like, oh, I used to be a model. I was not in the traditional sense, but like
Yeah.
I was 5'9" and 120 pounds. So I was just very tiny and very like as soon as, because the old modeling world was like blonde hair, blue eyes. I was about 16 when like exotic looking women were like in. So I'm dark hair, dark eyed. I had this like flowing brown hair and I was like wildly underweight.
Hey.
Yeah, but I decided abruptly not to.
Yeah, smart.
I
Probably
could've.
much more talent. It turns out I'm a god awful model too.
No, it's
Honestly,
horrible. Have you ever
every shoot? Yeah, well, the couple
it's
shoots
a
I've
terrible
done,
experience.
they're like, "Can you not smile like you're having the
you're
best
so
time ever?" I'm
happy
like,
all
"No,
the
I
time."
actually literally can't." And they were like, "Give me like a very serious," and I was like, I'm awful at it. I truly am like the world's worst model.
Give me a smile.
It's like a. No, I can't even. I
don't even know.
can't
No,
do it.
you're just a smiley
Like
guy.
I'm the world's worst model.
Wait, speaking of Esther, I asked her today, I was like, listen, we're having Conor on the podcast. What is something I should ask him that I wouldn't know to ask him from my own?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's so good. I was like, just from my
You're like-
own research. And she goes, talk about his like love for life, like that he squeezes everything out of life and like loves on his friends so much. Like, because you're such a light. And
Yeah.
when we met you, you're just like happy and fun. And that's like when you're with you, it feels normal, but like that's not the most of the world. And she was like, ask him like maybe like what gave him that outlook on life. Right? Golden question. I was like, I knew I'd text the right person.
Fucking Esther.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Esther.
Yeah. Who now works for the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like one of Mayor Mike Johnson's right-hand people, which is the perfect role for her.
But yeah, so where'd you get that? Where'd that outlook, loving on your friends and being like that outlook on life?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a couple things, really. It's like, I think like growing up in a really particular way, like we didn't have TV. We like spent, like all the time you spent was just like with each other. And then, I mean, truly probably the most formative piece is at 21, there was like a pretty serious battle with cancer. Thought I was going to die for quite a while.
How long?
Well, 3 weeks, I was like, for sure, I thought I was going to die when they just had found a ton of tumors through my chest and my neck. And then they were able to diagnose it. And, there's still some of that. But it, like what it reinforced for me, it didn't necessarily like change dramatically the way I lived, but what it reinforced for me was those most important things that you can't control, which is like how you show up in the world, the relationships in your life, how you treat people, and like I was really lucky. My parents are incredible, and they had like raised us in such a way that was everything. Like, be compassionate, help people, fight for people. But like that experience just like really grounded that for me. And there were a couple stories from that like did that. But like as wildly cliche as it is to say, that really did impact like the way I live my life, the way I show up. And like they're smarter people than me, they're more talented people than me. But I just like, I know what I can control is like, again, how I show up, how I treat people. And so I try to do good. I treat people well. I try to help people whenever it's in my power to help people. And, and especially when I was with Hickenlooper, like kind of being his right hand, like I had a wildly inordinate amount of power for a 26-year-old.
That's insane.
I know that Hickenlooper was the governor before Jared Polis, who's the current governor.
And we had this bond of trust. And so I just got to run, and people every single day would come to Hickenlooper with these incredibly tough problems. Generally, like if it rises to the level of governor, like it is a tough problem. Yeah. And Hick would always say, like, go talk to Conor. And if it didn't, hurt what we were trying to do, if it didn't hurt anyone else, like I would always try to help anyone who came up. And 80% of the time there wasn't like no upside for us. Like there wasn't like like these were not powerful people generally.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm in a position to be able to help. And so, even if it meant spending, 5 extra hours at the end of a 13-hour day, like calling people, writing, trying to help, I would do it because it's like, that was the right thing to do. Yeah. And part of it was like, that just also became my reputation of like someone who like really genuinely tried to help people. That's awesome. Yeah. And again, the power wasn't my own. It was just because of the proximity to the governor, but everyone knew that I spoke for him, and like, and so we were able to help a ton of people, in every situation imaginable. And again, most of these people had no other recourse but to go to the governor of Colorado to like get some help. And that was pretty cool. That was maybe one of the best parts of that job.
That sounds crazy in the best way. Like,
You know what it immediately reminded me of is like Khaleesi, like on Game of Thrones. No, like people would just present their problems to like,
like, how do we solve this?
When you're the governor, like, it's wild.
And it's like, he can hear it out or just be like, I don't care. Just like give it to Conor. Like, you know what I mean? Like the lower people, but those are the people who are actually like doing the things about it because he has so much going on.
Yeah. And he was great, like, in the way that he did that, because that doesn't always happen. And the president, the governor, whatever, so many of those offices like don't do that. There's just like a policy of like, because there's not a lot of upside always in like doing that.
Yeah.
And John Hickenlooper was like, help everyone you can help. Yeah. And he's like, I trust you to do that.
Yeah. That's wild.
Fucking beautiful.
Which is wild.
At 26?
Yeah. 25.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, we had this amazing team that like, I mean, I could call any of them and they understood what we were doing.
Yeah.
And they would bend over backward. Even like all of our cabinet secretaries, like incredibly well, established, successful people. Like, like, well, we can move things. We can do this, It was just like an incredible ethos.
That is like what I feel like you want to hear from like public servants, which is actually the definition of like people working in government. It's like, let's use our platform and like try to help people.
Ultimately, like that cancer diagnosis. So I was like one of those kids that like planned fucking everything. And, and then at 21, I got this diagnosis and like I had, fucked up 21. All my plans. And it was like the ultimate, I mean, there's a lot of stories from that time, but it was like the ultimate lesson in like, you can plan whatever. Doesn't ultimately matter. Like, that is something you can't control. What you can control is, again, like how you treat people, how you show up in the world, like where you give your time to, like that's what you can't control. And so that really kind of reshaped how I thought about things and has really led me to the roles that I've had.
It's amazing.
So are you like out of the woods with all that? Not to like get into your
personal
personal medical business publicly.
I about a year and a half ago, actually December 22nd is my kind of date. So almost 12 years ago now, celebrated, being in remission. I still have like wildly increased rates of potential reoccurrence, just because of the treatment and everything else. But and at December 22nd, I'll be celebrating 12 years out.
Congratulations. Here, cheers. Yeah, cheers. They just made some more White Russians. They drink all the Dapper Barons.
We did.
So I'm on a full different drink situation. That was actually why our break was so long. It was like, what can we put in here? Do they know what it came from? Or it was just kind of...
It was a fall wild. There was no connection. Basically, like in many cases, there's a genetic predisposition. We had none of those for this level of Hodgkin's lymphoma. There's a bunch of things that, like, again, precursors or different things that make it way more likely. I had none of those. Like, this was truly, could not have been more out of the blue.
Just a freak.
Yeah.
Accident. So it makes me like, I have a friend who is exactly my age. She's 34. And 3 years ago, she just had a pain behind her leg. She's at 4'9", tiny little Italian, very skinny. Luckily, she felt like a little lump. And kind of felt like pain when she was walking. Whatever, she got diagnosed with this cancer. She did the radiation and everything, but she wants to have children. So she also had to go through the hormones of getting her eggs frozen, the whole thing. And I hope for her that she's just, as of right now, full remission from it, had some treatment. They just didn't know. They were like, you've been living on boats. Maybe you were like exposed to something. Like they were almost thinking like environmental. Yeah. Like you might have been exposed to something that
there's still so much we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of wild. Like for something that's so prevalent and so impactful, like there's still so much we don't know.
Do you worry about, so with her, she was so healthy. She worked out every day. She was vegan, which people have different opinions about, but she was just like a healthy girl. And like she quit her corporate job in New York City to like work on yachts. So she's a yacht chef. And so it's like, I feel like living very happily, which you wouldn't expect that from someone to all of a sudden get diagnosed with cancer. But her kind of like, okay, so I met her when I was living in Greece. And she was like this little Italian that like we just hit it off. East Coast Italians. And so our thing when our like guests would go to Saturday night dinner, they're doing clubs. We would not participate. We would share a cigar and a bottle of red wine on the bow of one of our yachts that we worked on. And like it's just like one of my most special memories. But now she like has some weird guilt with it because she's like, can I randomly smoke a cigar once a year? Twice a year? But she just like doesn't want to like give herself cancer again. Like, do you deal with that?
Yeah, actually quite a bit. I'm probably a little looser. I think like,
because you gotta live.
Yeah, you gotta live still. And like if that experience taught me anything, it's like you gotta live. Yeah. You know, that is, life is too short. Like nothing is guaranteed, obviously. And in many ways, I mean, it's maybe a little like flippant to say, but that was, when I summed that experience up, it was a blessing that I wouldn't ever wish upon anyone else. Yeah. It was fucking awful. But like it was so meaningful in so many ways. And you know, I mean, what I came out of it, everyone comes out of it with different, truths. But yeah, mine was very clear. Like, you got to live. And like after that, I traveled. You know, I spent, similar to you guys. Like I spent years living abroad. I took jobs that, like, on paper, like I wasn't making a ton of money.
Welcome to our lives.
Deeply, yeah. They were like
super interesting lives, making nothing.
Yeah. Like deeply fulfilling, super interesting. You know, and actually, I will just tell one quick story from that time because it's, and I'll try not to cry because it is like one of the most important stories I think that came from that time. So like we're talking 3-4 weeks into treatment. And I was down in Austin where my family was. So going in every 2 weeks for this, 6-7 hours of chemotherapy where they just pump a poison into your body that kills all your fast growing cells, including the cancer cells. It's not targeted. That was a wild thing to discover that, like, that's where we were at. And it's brutal. Like, you feel awful the whole time. And so I show up, and the only seat that was open in this cancer facility was next to this old, like, grizzled cowboy. And so I sit down, and he has his this young guy, like, helping him out. I was like, oh, that's his son. And, we get about an hour, and everyone else leaves. And so ask him like, what's your story? His name's like Rusty. He's this like grizzled Texas,
of course,
grizzled Texas cowboy. And he's like, I've got like severe stage 4 lung cancer or throat cancer actually for Rusty. And he'd been smoking.
Was it cigarettes
a day? Yeah, and
we love cigarettes.
And so he starts telling me a story, and he's like, I was diagnosed 6 months ago, and it's pretty severe. And I break in at one point. I'm like, oh, well, it's nice that you have your son helping you. Mm-hmm. So this like 20, 30-year-old person helping you. And he's like, no, that's actually not my son. And he's like, I have to tell you the story. And I was like, okay. And so he launches into the story. Yeah. He's like, I had been diagnosed. And they were like, this is severe. You very well could die from this. And he had no money, he had no family in the area, and he lived in this town way the fuck in like West Texas, like 3 hours from Austin, where I was getting my treatment. They were like, you have to go. The only place you can get this particular type of chemotherapy is in Austin. He had no way to get there. He didn't have he'd sold his car because he had no money, and he had no family in the area. And so he was at the dentist's office later that week. And explaining because anytime you go through chemo, it's like it just wreaks havoc upon your teeth because again, it kills all your fast growing. Yeah, it kills all your fast growing cells.
Okay.
So he's explaining, and she's like, well, when are you going to get your treatment? And he's like, I don't know if I can. Like, I don't have any way to do that.
Yeah.
And this guy behind him, this complete stranger behind him, taps him on the shoulder after he finishes talking to the nurse, and he's like, I'll drive you down. And Rusty's like, I have to go down once a week for like a full fucking day to get this chemotherapy treatment.
Yeah.
And this kid is like, he's like, that's okay, I'll drive you down. And so sure enough, drives him down once a week. And I think he was a construction worker. And he took a day off every week.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't, that was the most he got off. Like, he was using all of his paid time.
That's wild.
To drive this stranger down to Austin to get treatment. And at this point, Rusty is, tearing up. And this is a guy that has, probably never cried in his life. Yeah. The most crusty cowboy. And I'm just, fully bawling. and Rusty was like, I'm going to cry again.
Hey.
He's like, I have never seen or felt that level of human kindness, that a stranger would care enough to do this, driving down, to sacrifice all that. Like someone I've never met in my life. And, sure enough, he, the whole time I was there, he drove this guy down. And that to me is the best in humanity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is true compassion and human kindness. And we all have that in us.
Absolutely.
100%. We dish it out here and there, but that anytime that I'm faced with a situation of do I go to my way to help this person? Do I, I think about that story, and it's just such a powerful example of the easiest thing in the world is just to ignore that. This is someone you don't know, you don't have to do anything, but to step up in that way and change. And at this point, this very macho cowboy is just bawling. We were with our chemo in our arms, we were hugging each other. It was just one of the most powerful things. And at that point, he had no one. He had truly no one in his life except for this stranger who had just stepped up in this way. Yeah.
What it makes me think of is that I think the little things of getting to know someone.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons, and we like had this on our notes to talk to you about, like, why I love Colorado. Because everyone is such transplants, and I love that people ask little questions here. Like, we grew up in St. Louis. It is very class divided. It is very cliquey. No one speaks to anyone unless you knew them. Here, like, I'll meet people at the gas station. I'll meet people at the grocery store. And I think those little extra questions of really, how are you doing? But being real about it is huge.
Yeah.
Like, like change someone's life. Like, he did take time off his work to take him there. But like, he would have never known to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think those tiny acts of kindness go to bigger ones. Just like, how you doing? It's like, I just got diagnosed with cancer. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get down there. And I'm someone, we're very like, because we don't have like real jobs. No, we're like people.
I know. Yeah.
Whether it's like a good thing or a bad thing, it's like, we'll do that. And then later, like, maybe we should have gotten paid to do that. But we're like, yeah, we'll go. We're just like go people. Up to do things people. I don't know what the word for it would be. But like if I met someone and they were like, yeah, I just like need like a ride to whatever. I'm like, I'm around. Because I don't like have a real job.
Yeah.
We're very busy.
Yeah.
But I don't have anywhere to be at any time pretty much ever.
I like to think about like what is the importance of kindness?
What do you mean?
Like what is the importance of kindness?
That's
Does it matter to be kind?
Yeah.
It seems rhetorical.
I think it
I'm not
matters.
getting
What?
No, I'm not at your
it's
level here.
No. What I'm saying is like you going out of your way to help people doesn't always give you like a direct benefit, you know?
No, there is no selfless good deed.
No, that's what I mean. So it's just like, what is it? But then like you look at like all the times that like you've needed like someone to be kind to you in that moment, and it's so powerful and so meaningful that the person being kind to you probably doesn't even understand on that level of how much it means to them. Yeah. And that is just like something that like is like deeper than words, deeper than feelings. And, you know, I just think it's like really crazy to wonder about and like ponder, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting thing in Colorado. Not that it's across the board necessarily, but I think there is like I'll call it like a Colorado spirit that
Colorado's better.
I think if you have like an openness and a curiosity about people, like the world is kind of your oyster.
Yeah.
You will just continue to meet good, interesting people who, you know, care about the world, who care about doing good. Like, I mean, that is completely how we met. Like, if we would have been in a situation where it's like, you know, you don't have that open-facing, genuine curiosity about people, like I would not be sitting here, certainly.
Like with our podcast, like how you can kind of just have like whoever on and we can talk about whatever. You coming on our podcast like really legitimized our podcast
It
as well.
legitimizes us 100%.
Yeah, no, actually, all of our guests that we've had on, I'd say like 90% of them, they legitimize our podcast, you know? And so like we just gotta say thank you for coming on because it's, you know, it does. It's like we are able to have whoever we want on and we can talk about whatever we want. Anyway, is the governor gonna be at your birthday party?
Not the current governor. The former governor might be.
Yeah. Well,
I actually feel bad. Didn't invite the current governor.
Why?
Maybe should have.
He's gonna hear this.
We're
not on his radar.
I just don't
He's a
think
big
that's
listener.
his scene.
Okay.
It's like a 7 to late party. That's DJ. It's actually gonna be like a real party.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And like I love Governor Jared Polis, but like
We
it's
love.
not really a
Okay.
scene, you know?
Would I be annoying if I went up and introduced myself to Hickenlooper?
No, not at all.
Is he's a good guy?
He's a people's man. Like
Okay.
he loves to meet anyone. If I'm around, I'll give you the introduction.
I would love to meet him because I've heard a lot of really cool things about
he
him.
is
But
a
I'm also,
gem of a human being.
I'm also not trying to like.
Yeah.
You know,
He would
if
love
he's
to meet
just
you.
wants to.
And actually, you asked if Polis would come on this podcast. Probably not.
Yeah.
And I say that with all due respect, but
We love Polis.
John W. Hickenlooper probably would come on this podcast. Who is, ultimately a great interview.
Cool. I mean,
Great
as long as
interview.
you endorse it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like
One of the best. I mean,
Cool.
I've seen him give probably 600-700 interviews at this point.
okay. So he
Damn.
likes a little bit of the spotlight.
He's just a good interview.
His birthday's in
He's a
July.
storyteller. He's a talker.
Do you know his birthday?
He would probably have a White Russian with you guys.
Love it.
Cool. Well, Conor.
I mean, the wallpaper I deeply appreciate. I feel like a little Miley Cyrus and me coming up, you know.
Hey, same star.
I think we
sign.
should put on.
Have you ever kidnapped
Yes.
a member of the
You know what I'm
government
saying,
and put them
yeah.
in your closet,
Yeah.
put a mic in their face, and like a
them out,
camera?
What do you think about Rob Katz?
Okay. Oh, wow. All right, stop the cameras.
Stop the camera.
Can I just
Favorite
say
charity?
First Ascents.
First Descent.
I don't know it. Say it.
So First
Plug
Ascents, they do healing through outdoor adventure for cancer survivors and MS and cancer survivors. Rock climbing, kayaking, and surfing. Incredible. So I went through that program and
Really?
just like one of the most, and I actually was just going to it to do like a free surfing trip. And it turned out to be like an incredibly influential, powerful, bonding experience with a bunch of other young cancer survivors. So First Ascents is probably my first and foremost, but there's a bunch of great organizations in Colorado like doing that type of work.
Cool.
No, I love that. We'll
absolutely put
plug
them there.
them and everything.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you guys. It's
Cool.
an honor.
Doesn't it
guys.
feel like
Yeah.
10 p.m.? It's like maybe
It's
3 or 4.
I don't. No, it's 4:30.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it's
Really?
No,
It's
literally.
4:30 to
Is
5.
the sun not even
No,
gone
it's 4:50. All right. Well, let's get out of the
Looking
closet.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you so
subscribe,
much.
share
Thank you
us,
guys.
tell your friends. Thank you, Connor. Mwah.
Mwah.